All right, welcome back to Burn the Ship, the podcast where we connect entrepreneurs to professionals to help you go all in on your business. Without further ado, I'm gonna allow my guest to introduce himself.
My name is Tanner Rupe, founder of TFR Service Solutions, and just a small town guy pushing as hard as can.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Tanner, I found you via LinkedIn. I found your profile is pretty interesting. I wanted to kind of see what you kind of do because I don't really know a ton about your industry. What exactly is TFR Safety, Solutions? What do you guys do, and how did you kind of get into this? Or really, how did you get into this, and then what do you guys do?
Yeah, so I'll just start kind of from the beginning and make it, long story short. And um, when I graduated from high school, growing up in a town of 2,500 people, I realized this wasn't for me at the time. Need to get out. I knew there was a bunch more out there, so I went to school for Harley Davidson in Phoenix, Arizona. At the time, I think Phoenix was like the sixth largest city in the United States. So I went from a big shell shock, going from a tiny tiny town to holy moly, where am I?
Right.
But two of my buddies were all three of us were going to go. We had an apartment lined up, and they backed out and got scared. And they're like, So what are we going to do now? I don't care what you guys do. I'm going. See ya. Best decision I ever made in my life.
Awesome.
And came back to Iowa for a little while and regrouped after that and built a lot of awesome motorcycles, did some cool stuff in the motorcycle industry. So that's where some of the, the fabrication background comes from, the welding, the machining, and all that good stuff. And I started having kids with my first wife, which is fortunate that she was my first wife and no longer my wife. But it all uh, it all worked out very well in my favor, and I went back to school for laser electro optics, and just got an associate's degree, and it's a little college north of my hometown in Tumwa, Iowa. Did that and moved straight to San Diego and did high energy laser weapon research for defense systems, like the ball that is on the bottom of the Predator drones that caught
Dude,
Osama
that's
bin
sick.
Laden.
That's
Helped
sick.
do the development of that technology. So a lot of other cool stuff in that industry. And then I got sick of traveling 3.5 hours to go 36 miles from my house to my office, and
Yeah.
it was time to regroup. And the best thing that ever happened is got in a motorcycle accident, and it was like right when I started a new job in the optical world, and I said screw it, stay there a year, and jumped into medical and learned a lot, traveled all over the world, rolled out devices all over Europe, the US, and did clinical study testing in Mexico. Came back to Iowa via divorce to be close to my kids, and took a year off of work because I had a nice little severance package for moving back to Iowa, and kind of regrouped and thought, what should I do? And so I went into the industrial laser world since I know lasers very well, and in the machining and the fabrication side. Just kind of put all that together, did that for a little bit, and bounced around, just trying to find my place, and had a corporate job. I won't say the company's name, and it just didn't quite work out. And at the time it was my fiance, which is now my wife of a little over a year and about a year and a half. Uh, she started her new job, and she still was carrying our benefits, or now she's carrying our benefits, and before I was. So it
Mm-hmm.
was the time to take the leap. I already had the LLC in place, and I was waiting to figure out, how I was going to really roll it out and get it up and going.
Right.
I just jumped, and
Right.
I was fortunate enough to have my first big deal fall in my lap, kind of in a roundabout way,
Right.
via LinkedIn, like how you found me. A guy from a company called TCI, laser cutting and water jet systems out of Spain,
Mm-hmm.
kept bugging me nonstop, and I thought it was like, oh, it's some spam deal. I'm like, this ain't worth my time.
Right.
And then about 6 months later, comes right back into it, and I was like, oh wait, and it got serious really really fast. And I already had a deal lined up, and customer that was needing a big flat sheet cutting laser for cutting parts, and press brake to bend them and form them to everything that's maybe in your car, maybe in your kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it just kind of always fell in my lap in that sense. And then from that point on, that was the first deal, and I didn't make a whole lot of money. I was like, oh, where do I go now? So I started branching out as fast as I could, and just letting it all go. And the vision for TFR Service Solutions originally, when I left my last corporate laser job, was I saw there's a huge gap in the field service sector of that industry.
Right.
I'd show up to help install a laser and automation system, and I'm getting screamed at by the customer because their field service tech hasn't been there. Their field service engineer hasn't called them for 3 months, and this, and this is wrong. And so I'd go fix it. Well, and then I'd get reprimanded by the higher ups, even though I was trained on it. So I was like, well,
Right.
this is nonsense. I'm like, there's definitely a space for me in this industry, to make a difference.
Right.
And I did medical lasers too, and I kind of dabble with that a little bit, but I've fully transitioned into the manufacturing side of things and industrial lasers and forming machines, press brakes, saws, you name it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So,
And
what's it
and
called?
that was the
So
best.
explain a little bit more for the people, kind of, because I mean, and also me, because I'm very ignorant to this, to the laser side of things. One of my buddies sells them, and I ask all the time because he sells them to like Yamaha, the Yamamotos, the John Deere, whatever the plants down here that we have. Goes in and sells them to places. So I'd heard of it before, but not until we had that conversation last week had I ever really met somebody that was in it. That he's in sales, you're in the side of it where you've kind of done it all the way to
Yep.
you've built something that which is sick. But explain to the people what exactly it is these lasers are doing. You know.
So like the big lasers, like your buddy sells and that I represent and sell and also service would be,
Yeah.
so like you have a 5 foot by 10 foot sheet of metal, I mean, very varied thicknesses, and that a tractor, a car,
Yeah.
you name it, all the brackets and the mounting points, any hard piece of steel that's difficult to cut and do it quick and efficiently, or a piece of aluminum, all sorts of different metals, obviously, but that laser will do that, and it'll do it in a so much more efficient manner than old school plasma or wire cutting, the old traditional ways.
Right.
Technology's moved it so much more to the open world, where it's still progressing. It's like Moore's law. Every year or every 2 years, the capacity doubles and the size shrinks
Right.
in half. And that's
Right.
what we're seeing in the laser industry, because old flat sheet lasers used to be like CO2 powered
Yeah.
with a bunch of mirrors and optics,
Hmm.
beams going everywhere, and very temperamental machines.
Right.
Well, now with fiber technology, you can do so much more. And so those lasers, you can cut anything and everything under the sun. I mean, it's not just flat sheet lasers. There's they do stents in the medical world, that of flexible memory metal that they'll put in through your vein, and it'll expand itself.
Yeah.
So one thing a lot of people don't seem to realize, that because lasers, it's not an everyday conversation like you said,
Right.
but about almost every single part of your day, a laser's touched something that you're using, or you know around. There's
Right.
no doubt about it. The lasers they change the world for sure.
Right. And then what would you say? How much do you think like the laser industry is kind of that industry's changed? Like you were saying, you're saying they're growing in size, but how much would you say has changed over the last 5 years?
Um, well,
Because
so I can.
I'm sure it's been a significant change because AI really didn't. Once AI kind of came around, how much more advanced did it make that?
So AI, and in my experience with the lasers that I personally work with, hasn't
Yeah.
played a very significant role just yet. So
Hmm.
like the machine learning, it's more on the CNC side of things. I've seen that, and it's in like CNC cutting machine, and
Yeah.
I've seen it a lot more there. So it's predicting your path for the tool, the cutting path, and
Right.
it's helping evolution. The evolution of that is helping minimize and make it more efficient any way, shape, or form it can.
Right.
So the laser side with AI, it's not really big just yet. I'm sure it will be, especially with the automation growing massively, because as we all know, this day and age, it's especially after COVID. During COVID, everybody got to sit around and get some free money, and a lot of people just kind of work from home and
Yeah.
they don't have the drive that we all once had.
Right.
And that was another good opportunity to pounce on it and start a company. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so the AI, I don't see it doing so much for us right now. I mean, they have robots and stuff that I'll also represent,
Hmm.
that will, material handling and move it to different storage racks.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless. The AI is going to change the game for sure. There's no doubt. But is it going to
Yeah.
be a good change, or is it going to be a very difficult change? It's what we're
Right.
all
Right.
waiting.
Yeah.
I think we're all waiting to see what that comes out like.
Yeah. When you got AI car salesmen here before too long,
Oh, you,
that's
you
that's when you know it's crazy.
yeah, exactly.
But no, really, Tanner, no, what's been hard for you, because being new to being an entrepreneur on that side, you've been in a world of being comfortable for a long time, and you hopped out in the big tank. But
Yeah,
what's it
it's
been what's it been you struggled with?
the biggest struggle is just being back in a smaller community after living in the big city for 15 years, and I'm very fortunate that this all happened how it did. Met my new wife, got 5 amazing stepkids, all that good stuff. But the struggle of it all has been is going from being a very renowned person in the medical world and very respected for what I did to starting all over
Right.
and finding my way. And that can be a very difficult thing because you can get down on yourself so easy. You can let the littlest of a phone conversation on a cold call to a potential customer beat you down, and you just wake
Man,
up.
tell me about it.
Yeah, if you wake up one day and you just had a bad night the night before, something's on your mind, whatever it may be, and then you get that one bad call or something and just throws your whole attitude. And that was that right there was just probably my hardest struggle of all, is learning how to manage that and put the negative thoughts and the poor me attitude to the side. It's either make it or break it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
I
no.
took the jump, and I the name of your podcast, I was burning the whole place down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I went for it, and I've been pretty fortunate, and especially I live back in my hometown in small town Iowa, and being able to not travel as much has been another thing, because traveling and trying to get it started up is what I originally did.
Right.
And it didn't work out because I couldn't, keep that corporate job and give it 110% and give this 110%. There's just not
Right.
enough time in the
And
day.
yeah, and give the family 110%.
Exactly.
It's exhausting, man. You got to give yourself time.
And that's where I burnt myself out in the medical world, because I didn't give myself time.
Right.
Like I would fly from Europe, come back to the United States, be here for 36 hours, go to a kid's birthday party or what have you, and then right
Right.
back on a plane. And
No.
that's too rough. It's not the life. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, you live such a great life. You get to go out." No. I see
No.
airports and Ubers and hotels.
Yeah. Right.
It's
Right. It's cool. It is. Don't get me wrong. It's cool, but yeah,
yeah, got a
it's
lot of great memories, don't get me wrong, but I honestly I couldn't have done any of this without my new wife, pushing me and
right.
fully supporting me. And if I had one of those bad days, she'd whip me out of it as fast as she could, and I
Right.
couldn't thank her for more than anything in this way.
No, that
Couldn't have done it
that is
without her,
one of
that's
those
for
things
sure.
because I feel that, man. I'm in sales. Being a former athlete. I played 5 years of college baseball. Played sports growing through school my entire time. Like I was a three sport athlete all through high school. My entire life I was playing 4 sports. It was just like until I got to ninth grade. Whenever it's like, all right, you got to pick one of these during this point in time. Like, can't play both of them. Can't wrestle and play basketball. I was
Right.
like, well, damn it. All right, cool. You got me. But what's it called? Whenever that goes through, that hard work, discipline, but having those bad days, you don't have those people that are going to snap you out of it because it can dictate a lot of success. Just
Yeah.
you being in your
A
own
lot
head
of
and not
success
getting
or
it
a
out
lot of
there.
failure. Yeah.
Yeah,
It can
exactly,
go
exactly.
both ways, polar
Uh-huh.
opposites one another. And
Right.
it's I've learned that when you wake up with the mentality, like makes your day great. I have all those cliche quotes, but
Yeah.
it's true. Wake up
Yeah.
and think the positivity of it all.
Most definitely.
And what's the worst you're gonna get told? No.
Exactly. And when I first started, I would cold call 300 people a day. I didn't give a damn. I mean, it'd be tons of people, and then it goes to now I get in the networking mood, and I'm out in the field doing that, talking to people, setting up meetings, doing stuff. It's the same thing, but I was calling way more people because I wouldn't like now I I'm not even gonna say it doesn't affect me, but I'm gonna be that no, it doesn't affect me, but it definitely ticks me off a little bit. At the beginning, it didn't even take me off at all. Now I'm like, I don't get told no when I'm in person, so I'm just gonna go in person everywhere.
Right.
Like everybody gives you a yeah. They may text you that day, but oh, I can't make it. Like oh, whatever. But then you just know I don't want to do business with that person anyway.
Right.
You know,
And
but
that's the thing. It's you got to know how to read the people. Like I agree with that fully. And that's probably I guess maybe one of my more strong suits that I learned from the medical field and all of my worldly travels with that. And that I'm very grateful for that experience because that's helped me build this business because I'm not shy. I mean, I've had a doctor throw me against the wall, hand around my neck
Right.
after he invited me to come make sure that one of my coworkers and and a colleague manager
Right.
on vacation and wanted me to come out because I helped roll his facility out in the cataract world. And he gets mad because I told him he was the one screwing up. And I kind of whispered in his ear and I stopped him. And it was all about patient safety, though, at that point,
Right.
and this guy's like 4.5 foot tall, very, very worldly renowned doctor. Threw me against the wall. I could have owned his whole practice, the whole nine, but I'm not that type of person. I'll get
Right.
my own on my own.
Yeah.
And it's I've learned a lot because of that. So
Yeah.
stuff, those experiences, and it's learning how to read people's hard, but you just gotta. It's patience is the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
in
think
that
it's a big
regard.
time inherited trait too. You either have it or you don't. I think that
Oh,
one's one of those
absolutely.
things.
I don't think it's a
I don't
learned
know if a
trait.
lot of people read people well because it's one of those things where it's you either have that or you don't. Like you can move somebody's energy in a sale or not. You know, you're good at
Right.
it or you're not. I
Yeah,
don't know if it's.
it's either you have the gift of gab, as one of my old bosses always told me. He's like, about
Yeah.
almost 20 years ago, and the
Right.
guy's like, you should be in sales. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, my mom has a newspaper growing up. Been around sales my whole life. I don't want to deal with it. And look
Right.
where I am.
Yeah, but you can make your endless amount of money as long as you keep building the right network and connections. You know,
Absolutely.
it goes as far as you want to go, and that's going to segue my next one is kind of be, what would you say has been like your strong suit? What's helped you grow? You just talked about it, being networking and stuff, but would you say that's one of them, or just you got more that's made you grow your business?
Yeah. So previous connections, obviously, I mean, cross industries, not just industrial. The lasers are very universal in all industries, it seems like this day and age. And, from defense to manufacturing to engraving to, I mean, medical, I mean, it's all over the place. And that's helped me out a lot because I can call a guy that I used to work under and say, hey, I need this optic because I want to test this for this laser welder. I've got that connection, bam, right there. And so I helped develop this stuff for a laser welding company. And that was just all from past connections. And that's segued into my company doing some design work for the laser gun for safety kind of things and making it more user friendly. Because you could put Joe Schmo that's never welded a day in his life on one, and he could be shooting a laser beam at somebody and not even know it. So
Right.
all that experiences, all those experiences have led to all the connections, still staying in touch. Networking, communication is key, and you can't talk to people enough. I mean, even if you're not trying to sell them something, still if they tell you no, pop back in and say hi. Just say, hey, was in the area.
Drop them off some
And
donuts. Do something.
I send customers like the Jimmy John's platters. 60 bucks out of my pocket could turn into a lot of extra money for my family.
Right.
And the only sale you don't get is the one you don't try.
You're dang right on that though. That's absolutely correct because we talk about it all the time in the office because we use this podcast is a sales pitch
Yep.
essentially because we get to talk to somebody no matter who it is because we talk to everybody. We want everybody to come on because we want you to talk about your business, but it gives us opportunity to get 3 more people that they know or to get just 3 more cracks at something now that we have mutual alliance of talking to each other and realizing who that same thing, building a network. It's just how
Absolutely.
it goes. It just gives us it's a 1-to-1 essentially, but you're getting to fully showcase your business
Right.
and you're like your story.
And I guess another big one would be not just the connections, but it's respect. I mean, people read your body language, and if you're not feeling it, they're gonna know right away. And if
Oh yeah,
they're not
you would have seen me back here just like this. This is what I
right,
do if I'm not enjoying it, like if I'm not in the conversation, I sit just like this.
right, it's like I'm not up here, I'm back here, and I'll be like this.
Yep.
I mean, body language says it all. So just having the patience to just slow down and not try to rush has I've been taught that by a couple of very good mentors in my career that have pushed me, and they're retired. I mean, they could be my grandparents for Christ's sake, but
Right.
it's just leaning on your network and your tribe, if you will.
Right.
It's I mean, it's like going in for a sale.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to ask for that sale. Don't be
Yeah.
scared to ask to earn their business and see what you
Right.
can do for them. You got to take the nerves and the shakiness and the scared out of the whole
Mm-hmm.
equation. That you take all that piled up, put it in a bag, stomp on it. Because
Right.
if you don't, you're gonna get crushed in this industry.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's you're selling cars, selling lasers, or you're selling popsicles for Christ's sake.
Yep.
You gotta just get that gift of gab, like they say.
And people also do business with people they trust. If they don't trust you, you ain't getting squat from them. But a handshake and a fake hello, that's what. That's
Yep.
what.
And
I,
you make a very good point. Handshakes. Handshake will get you a sale any day of the week.
mm-hmm.
I've been with other people in my industry, going try to do a team deal because I could provide something that they couldn't.
Right.
And we lost the deal because said person, his handshake was like a little baby trying to shake your hand, like so limp, it's firm, it's grip, it's tight. Lost the
Mm-hmm.
deal on that, all because of a handshake.
Oh yeah, I've done a ton of sales psychology stuff. I try to try to mimic all of it, but some of it I just can't. I can't be fake about it, so I just got to be me. Because I was like,
Yeah,
that's one. It's one thing that makes me really good is I don't give it. I don't care. I'm very outgoing. Always have been. That's just kind of been me, and I use the same thing when I'm out networking. So
right.
I've built a network over the last year and a half of a good team where right before when I called you, I was like, hey, I might be a little late. I was sitting there closing a deal out of my network that somebody had invited to my office that I didn't even know. I thought they were
Very
coming in to
nice.
do a podcast, but it
There
was
you go.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
And I sat down, we took care of it, and now I'm doing a podcast.
you can't beat that. So
Right,
congratulations for you on that one. Um,
absolutely. Thank
uh,
you.
Another big cool thing I guess I forgot about in my medical world that has really helped me and kind of got my thought process going. It was they got me into I was a mobile laser guy, drove around with a $500,000 laser and would set the laser up to do cataract eye surgery, but we'd have to set up the night before and then come in an hour before, test the machine, da 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 da. Very strenuous, tasking job, gone all the time. You'd go set the laser up, go home, go to the hotel, go to bed, wake
Right,
up next morning. Well, I worked really hard and I got promoted to like the senior guy within like 4 months or something like that. And because I knew the lasers, nobody else could fix them like I could or as quick as I could. And it just, all kind of snowballed effect into one thing after another. And we're sitting in Chicago at the McCormick place at a big ophthalmic event called AAO. It's the world's largest eye surgery conference. And, it's massive. People from everywhere come. And my boss looks at me, he's like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, what do you mean? It's like, you happy? I'm like, no, I'm getting kind of bored. He goes, what about being a manager? I'm like, nah. I was like, I don't know if I have much interest in that. I'm like, it's like glorified babysitting, isn't it?
right,
And so long story short, we go through the whole process and I was the first, I made middle management, if you will, for this company. I was the segue for that, which a lot of people should be grateful for, and I know they are. But they did a test on us, and it's oh, I can't even think of the name of it. There's a company out of St. Louis, but this test made you feel like you didn't even know how to tie your own shoe. Like it was the most
yeah.
strenuous thing I've ever done in my life.
The SAT
And
for me, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, see, I didn't do traditional college route, so I didn't have to do any of those tests. I just popped right through, But this was like the equivalent of like going to Harvard for me or something or MIT.
Right,
Because after you did all that and they evaluated all your submissions, there's like 5 or 6 like hour and a half long tests essentially. And at
mm,
the end of all that, 3 PhDs each separately go over your results with you and evaluate you, and they come up with this giant report. And so it said I managed like a Fortune 500 CEO with a very high technical aptitude. And so I kind of put it all in perspective for me. I'm like, huh, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should start something. And that's kind of where the
yeah.
process started. That would have been like in 20, 15, 14.
Yeah, no,
And
that's awesome. That is awesome because everybody's got their story of how they started up, how they do it, and how their backgrounds have come about, and it's always different. But yours seems pretty similar to how I'm trying to go down my path right now. I've made my path currently, so I
and
like it.
And the reason I'm saying this is because, like I said, 2014, 2015 was when that all went down. And then I left that company. I probably should have stayed in hindsight to go to a startup company that I traveled all over with. Don't regret any of it, but that's when the idea of starting my own thing started, was 2014, 2015. And
Right.
it took me 8.5 years to finally jump off the ledge and burn it down.
Yeah, you get.
So
Yeah, I was about to say you answered you gave me the alley oop into it because the next one was going to be is what was it like for you to burn the ship? What was that emotion? Because I mean that's a big change in life, man. That's a massive walk away.
So if you ask anybody that knows me, I've always, been a go-getter. I've never been scared to do anything. Um, for lack of a better term, no a given, for
Mm-hmm.
like my entire life growing up. And well, then I had kids. Now I've got more kids with my now wife, and that was the biggest scare. Like, well, what if I fail? Well, failure is not an option. I will find a way to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I mean, that is hard. It's I lost a lot of sleep over, I mean, the first 6 months of this year.
Yeah.
um I maybe got 2 hours of sleep a night, because not only because the time change, with the companies that I was representing, but um that was the, I mean, I can use that as an excuse, but no, it was stressful.
Right.
Is I mean, stressful is an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think my beard went like almost full gray in like the first 6 months of this year. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
only 38 years old, but it went gray quick. And
Right.
there's signs of that showed on my face every
Yeah.
day. But, you wake up every morning, or you just lay in bed all night, and whatever it may be, somehow you got to find a way. And
Right.
I don't know if the stress drove me harder to find a way and make it happen, or I really don't know what that answer is. But stress obviously has that factor in the back of your mind, like, well, what if I don't get this done? What's the outcome?
Right.
The outcome won't be good.
Right.
My family won't be able to be as comfortable as we are. We won't be able to do this, that, and the other, all these sports and all the extra baseball and softball bats and sign up fees, and all those things come into your mind, and that's what is constantly in the back of my head, and it still
Right.
is to this day. But I've obviously figured out a better way to manage that, and maybe it's my drive. Maybe that is my driver. I don't know.
Right. You never
It's
know.
yeah,
That's awesome.
that and that the stress and the stress and the sleepless nights, um, and then a lot of you know, not marital issues, but doing this out of the other, and constantly focusing on getting the business up and going. That, I mean, it took a pretty good toll on me and my wife's relationship, just personally. And I never miss a kids thing ever. Not a day in my life will I miss a kids thing. But wife needs help doing this. Well, honey, it's got to wait till tomorrow. I got to get this
Right.
done. And
Right. No, absolutely.
it's there's always
Every day.
consequence. There's always a consequence, and there's always a reward. And
Mm-hmm.
you got to
Most
outweigh
definitely.
it and figure out which one's at that right moment in time.
Right, and just you get down the road and don't look back. It's whatever, who cares? We're forward thinking, and success is defined by just get up one more time, then you fall down.
Yeah, my wife and I were actually talking about this whole deal last night, and she goes, "I could have killed you 6 months ago. I wanted to kill you. Just like you just ignored me, and you'd help cook, and you'd help clean, and help laundry. Help the kids. You wake up, make them
Mm-hmm.
breakfast every morning, make sure they're off to school if you're home. But I could have killed you.
Yeah.
But it's like you just were a completely different person." And I was like, "Sorry." It's
Sorry, I
like,
was freaked out.
yeah, I was shaking in my boots all day, every day, making
That's
sure I was going
awesome.
to be able to give what I needed to the fam. It's
That's awesome.
yeah, now she's
But no,
very
Tanner, we're gonna look back
thankful.
on this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna redo this in a year or two. We're gonna come back and do another one.
Oh yeah,
And
I'm excited to see what that one will be like for sure too.
no, definitely just to see the difference. In a year because it's new. It's something new for you, and we're rooting for you. We're in your corner. But leave the people with the last word.
Yeah. Say that one more time.
I said leave the people with the last word.
Don't be scared. There's and it's the most nerve-wracking thing you're ever going to do in your life, but if you have a passion and a hobby, if it's something you love to do it. find your market and don't stop. It's you got to go, keep driving, and you can't give up. It's failure's
Right.
not an option as an entrepreneur and starting your own company. It's all about your business relationships and keep those business relationships intact. Even if it's one that you don't necessarily want to keep intact, always have good communication skills and be respectful.
Absolutely. Burn the ship.
Burn it down, buddy.